Hello, Dr. Angela here on the ninth day of wellness. On the ninth day of wellness, the coach gave to me 9 boundary principles, 8 hours of sleeping, 7 dimensions of wellness, 6 days of working, and 1 day to rest, 5 relaxation activities, 4 season wellness, 3 integrations, 2 daily rituals, and 1 vital wellness goal. Discussion of boundary principles, relevant and important. We need boundaries. Without boundaries, life is like willy-nilly. And are you focused? Are you as productive? Are you as fulfilled as you want to be? I would say no, no, and no. A boundary is your personal guideline that defines how you engage with the world and how you protect your energy and protect other parts of who you are. A boundary creates space in your life. A boundary empowers or equips you to unleash the full and authentic version of you. And during this time we have together, I want to share with you a few principles from the book Boundaries and its follow up book, Boundaries for Women, by the authors Townsend and Cloud. A boundary also equips you to confidently say yes to what nourishes your soul and no to what drains you. A boundary, I said before, is a hedge of protection. It builds a bridge to your balanced and fulfilled life. The boundary is not about building a barricade or a wall, it's a bridge. It defines what's safe, what's on this side, and what's out, what's there. In life, it's important that we prioritize. It's important that we take time and we make space for the things that align with passion, desires, and time. And by setting and maintaining healthy boundaries, these empower us so that we can avoid being people pleasers, saying yes, yes, yes to everything. And then if we say yes, yes, yes to everything, we have to say no, no, no to what's important. But we need to be the other way around, right? We need to say yes to what's important and relevant and say no now, not me, etc., to what isn't relevant or what isn't needed. A boundary helps to protect your time, and managing time can be helpful to avoid perfectionism and overcommitment and being overloaded. Have you ever found that you're like, why do I have so much on my schedule? Perhaps it may be a soft or non-existent or outdated boundary. Boundaries serve multiple roles in life. So I mentioned that a boundary is a guideline. A boundary protects. Physical boundaries or boundaries related to physical things like person, like our homes, our cars, jewelry, other things are important for the boundary. And think about personal space. There is a number of feet that individuals who are not given permission or who are not giving access to come closer, that personal space is a boundary. And if an individual begins to cross or enter into that personal space, we may step back, we may put an arm up, we may turn slightly to avoid that individual coming too close or entering closer into that personal space. So that type of boundary we are probably familiar with, and that may be the first thing that comes to mind when we think about a boundary. We also have boundaries that protect our mental and our emotional energy. Some people will say, I don't look at certain movies or television shows, or I limit my time for that. Individuals may not listen to certain types of music. Individuals may not be in places where certain types of crude talk is used, or certain types of media, whether it's books, magazines, or what have you, because an individual says, I'm protecting my energy, I'm protecting what I see, I'm protecting what I hear. Those types of boundaries are important because they energize us. They help us to stay focused and positive and optimistic, amongst other things. Boundaries are also important to protect time, mentioned before, avoiding overextension and overcommitment. And let me just drop this little gem here, nugget. Now, before I tell you about how boundaries can be one tool to prevent burnout, I am in no way making light of burnout. I am not minimizing it. Burnout is real. Burnout is something that we need to be aware of. And for those of us, and you're here with me because you are busy, because you are an achiever, you are an achiever, you are a high performer. It's important to know about burnout. It's important for us to put some things in place to be proactive to avoid burnout. Boundaries can be very relevant and important in burnout prevention. So I want to add that there. Boundaries also equip us to protect our resources. Money, maybe you have some things that you may periodically loan to people or gift to people. If someone is constantly coming and going, can you help me out? Can you do this? Can you do that? I don't want to pay this. That can be a drain on your resources. So there are different types of boundaries. Important to know, what type of boundaries are you currently exercising in your life? The book Boundary and Boundaries for Women, as I wrap this up. A boundary is your responsibility to define and enforce. You are the creator of your life. You are the captain of your ship. You are the author of your story. It's your responsibility, my responsibility, our responsibilities to define the boundaries, create and define the boundaries related to us. Children, when our children are minors, we define and enforce the boundaries for them. But when a child becomes an adult, the responsibility for boundary creation and enforcement, that's the adults. So define your boundaries, that's your responsibility. What are your limits? What are your values? What's your purpose? What are your desires? Those things will help you to define your boundaries. You have to communicate what the boundary is. And then when someone there is an infraction or a boundary violation, it's your responsibility to hold the individual or individuals accountable. So boundaries fall on you. That's right. Go ahead and pat yourself on the back and say, my boundaries, my responsibility. All right. Boundaries for women. Now, those are just a few of the boundary principles from the book. Now, boundaries for women. Boundaries are empowerment. Boundaries equip us to authentically say yes and no. Boundaries empower us to prioritize self and prioritize self value. Boundaries empower to be comfortable with expressing emotion. That's important. I said the yes and the no because I want to say that again. Saying yes and the no, those are keys. Then one more thing. Emotional honesty. And I think that was it. Oh, yeah. Those were the things I wanted to share about boundaries for women. So boundaries are important. Just want to pause right there because we are creating space and we are creating time with boundaries. Are there any soft boundaries in your life? Are there any areas where you feel you need more time and attention or where people are not respecting your boundaries? You can become empowered. You can become more aware of a boundary and boundary principles in your life. When boundaries are soft or non-existent or outdated, it can be easy to experience busy and busyness because the boundaries are not there that shine the light and direct you to prioritize self, prioritize time, avoid saying yes when it should be no, and it creates space to say, yeah, to be available when it is time to say yes. When there is lack of boundaries or soft boundaries, it can often feel like you are actually in overdrive. Life is not about being in overdrive. Life is about optimal and optimizing your well-being. And part of what we do here at Live Great Lives is to equip with resources that help to develop boundaries. And I've had a number of things when I've shared about boundaries because boundaries are important. And I enjoy talking about boundaries and boundary principles. This is your time that you can say yes to you. Say yes to what nourishes you. Say yes to what nourishes your soul. Say yes to the things that light you up, to the activities, to the assignments for your life. If you're going to create time and have space for the yeses in your life, creating boundaries is important because you have to say no to those things that are not in alignment. Look forward more information. I'll share an invitation with you coming up about how you can move from overdrive to optimal and how creating healthy boundaries empowers you to move from managing busy to mastering balance in life. I'm so excited that you are here, and I'm excited to bring up the next day of wellness.